Alrighty. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So much fun stuff to be had. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is a Snort Report brought to you by SnortBucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company. Forever. Forever. Here we go. So, what are we talking about today? Of the myriad of nonsense, I should say, that fluctuates amongst the vortex. We're going to speak a little bit, just a little bit, teeny tiny bit, little bit, about DSP and his new terms and conditioning. New terms and conditions as it pertains to licensing his content, whether for restreaming and or transformative, whatever. Really, he's talking about just restreaming and or raw cuts, essentially. And it's an interesting conversation to be had. Who's going to get hit? Who's not going to get hit? Who's really transformative? Who isn't? And what DSP's overall plans are, since he's pivoted from on what was it, July 15th? Everybody's going to get flagged. Everybody's going to get flagged down. He knows it for sure. All detractors, trolls, haters, and critics going to get flagged. So we're going to talk about it. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go into my favorite segment. And hopefully your favorite segment. Oh, my bad. That's a good segment too, but I meant this segment right here. All right, let's go into my favorite segment. Hopefully your favorite segment as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my TED Talk. So, boy. So DSP wants to actually put legal terms and conditions down for licensing his content. He wants written contracts to be involved. He's planning on getting, he says he wants to get a lawyer involved, and they'll decide on a flat fee, and there you go. And then he says once he is ready to exercise his right to go after people, those people who have a license with him will be exempt. Now, sounds like a whole lot of bullshit to me. Sounds like some kind of weird ass gay gouty fucking honeypot that's not going to go anywhere. But even more interestingly than that, because I've listened to this a couple times, it sounds like he's trying to cut YouTube out altogether. He's on some weird, oh, we're going to go off-site type shit. It'll be an agreement just between us. YouTube has nothing to do with that. You pay me money, and I give you a quote-unquote verbal / possibly written agreement that'll be notarized that says that, you know, if I ever flag a bunch of people, you won't be hit. And so let's say he accidentally mass flags a bunch of people, and people who have that license are caught up in the dragnet. What are they supposed to do? Upload that shit to Twitter and whatnot and say, hey, YouTube, I got this written document from DSP saying that if I pay him a flat amount of money directly, I have legal license to his shit. YouTube's gonna look at that and be like, well, what kind of weird ass shit y'all doing? Where's our cut? Well, what do you mean? He's making money on our platform, we're not getting a piece? No. That's no. You don't let you like think these pimps out here let these hoes be holding on to money without it being accounted for? Yeah, I don't think YouTube's gonna like that. I don't think YouTube's gonna like that at all. That sounds like some weird ass, shady ass shit that DSP would be known for. You know what I'm saying? Because keep in mind, I want you to think about this too, because someone brought this up a long time ago. When he was on Twitch, DSP had this thing where every 6 months, it was basically every other month really, he would push for Twitch subs and bits and or cheers, whatever. He would push for that super hard, let's say in January. But in February, he pushed for tips. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, he'll ask for the other stuff too, but he would push really hard for tips. Next month, same thing. It was almost like he's making sure Twitch gets their little bit of money and whatnot, and then every other month he makes sure he gets the bulk of it. Well, YouTube kind of sort of is working in the same way, as well as Kick, which I think he thought on paper, or at least in his head, it was going to be a good idea. But you see that combining all of the incomes together to hit goals actually probably stifles him more than he's come to realize. That's another story for another day. The fact that Twitch doesn't have a problem with you having a Patreon, not that I think they would care, or a PayPal, and people can donate to you directly there. The fact that that's not a thing, which is cool and everything, But you could also see how, well, we're letting you on our platform and we should be getting a piece of everything, but we have all these other different amenities that, you know, it offsets it. YouTube's kind of going by that same archetype. People like DSP have found a way, or they think they found a way to try to obfuscate that, or obfuscate that, and be able to be like, let me get my little money here that's all me, and then I'll make sure I get a little bit of money on the platform so no one says nothing. Whatever. But what he's trying to propose sounds like on some next level bullshit that definitely don't sound good. And if you're YouTube, you're thinking, well, if we don't know about that, how can we uphold that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are we supposed to uphold this agreement that you two have? And yet he flagged you. So why did he flag you if you guys have a verbal agreement? You just see what I'm saying? That gets all weird and messy. And YouTube's like, you know what? Both of y'all get demonetized and fuck both of y'all. Because that just seems like more of a headache than it needs to be. It's not just the money. Now people are being like, well, fuck, I'm going to have to take YouTube to court because I had an arrangement with a guy who's on YouTube and he's on this bullshit to say that I needed to do this, that, and the third. And he flagged me anyway. So I don't think that's something he's thought about. That's messy. On top of that, he wants you to dox yourself. He wants, you know, your channel's name. He specifically said this. He wants your YouTube channel name. He wants your Twitch channel name. And then obviously he needs you to, you know, your full name, address, and all that bullshit. What the hell does Twitch have to do with any of this shit? You don't have any fucking, you have no precedence over there. You have no presence over there, to be honest. And even if you did, you're still not going to pull that off. And with that being said, let me address this real fast. There's a frame of thought, and I get the vibe. I get the vibe. Because there's a dude, Mumu, actually big up to Mumu, who reached out and was like, hey, do you think that smaller YouTubers may fall for this? Smaller detractors, I should say, will fall for this. And I honestly, I see where you're coming from, but I don't think they will. I think that most of them will go to whoever their favorite detractor, whose favorite detractor is, and they'll go to them and they'll ask them for advice. I honestly think that's what's going to happen. So I expect, you know, Meerkat or Alt, or just that being said, in general, getting flooded. Ann will get flooded. I'm sure Tevin will get a bunch of questions. I'm sure Agent Proper will get a bunch of questions. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that, Secret Limited. You know what I'm saying? Theo. I expect a bunch of those guys to get a bunch of questions thrown their way about, you know, hey, what are your thoughts on this, that, and the third? And, you know, I'm sure they'll work it all out. I don't see anybody doxing themselves to Darksydephil. The last thing you want to be doing is doxing yourself to Phil Burnell for any amount of money. The last thing you want to do is that. Because the moment that a video comes out that he feels that really hits that algorithm, and that he feels that it's defamatory, or slanderous, or whatever, he will drop your docs. He will drop your docs in a heartbeat. And then it's also brought up in the same video that we're about to watch, that somebody was like, well, hey, don't you think, you know, their fellow detractors, trolls, haters, and critics are gonna have something to say when they come out that, oh, they did this deal with you? Well, why do they have to say anything? I'm not an asshole. I'm not a piece of shit. Nobody needs to know. Well, see, Wings tried to do that exact same thing too. Allegedly. He tried to allegedly do that with 007, with Lean, with Lummox, and I don't think anything happened. But Wings try to spin it like that too. Like, oh, well, no one needs to know about that. That could be just between us, pimp. No one ever needs to know about it. But someone will always know about that. Someone will always find out. Someone will slip up. You think DSP could keep that under wraps? You think if you have a channel out there that's pulling 100,000 views a month, and and DSP is getting a cut of that shit, of that revenue, you think he's not going to want to boaster about that shit, say something? The first couple months, keep his mouth shut. Eventually, he's going to talk. If the views go up and he doesn't see an increase in that money or in his percentage, he going to bitch. If he sees that shit's getting, if he sees that his percentage is dropping, he going to bitch. Or if he's just feeling egotistical and he on his little white claws or whatever, he may talk. He may snitch. So no, that's the last thing anybody wants next to your docs. Should be the first thing you don't want DSP to have. The next thing is you don't want DSP boasting about other people knowing about what your business is with them. Those are two things you damn sure don't want. You damn sure don't want that. Especially with a piece of shit that you can't trust. That's just not the way to go about it. Anywho, let's go ahead and cut through the semantics. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Strap in. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, by the way. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. And let's see here. Let's pick a nice little setting here. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. That looks good. Future's bright. You know what I'm saying? From what I was told, right, Phil? Future's bright. Let's go with that. And let's make sure we can get our situation together. Ladies and gentlemen, this was brought to us by Raw Phil. Big ups to Raw Phil. And big ups to Diggs for cutting this all up for me. So I appreciate that. And let's see, what is this labeled as, by the way? This is Darksydephil speaks on his terms and conditions for DSP content licensing. This is from July 13th of 2025. Womp, 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 womp. Okay. I think I think we got everything together. So, drop that so you guys don't hear an echo. Last thing I need is that. All right. I don't smell no bacon cooking. So let's go ahead and strap in. Here we go.
Oh, interestingly enough, I think that it's a joke, but I had a few people contact me via DMs and emails yesterday asking me, so what is the deal with obtaining a license to restream me officially? Now, I think that these people are not serious.
Well, they're not. And more likely they are trolls, but why not? The reason why is because, well, that's how good intelligent gathering works. Go out there and find out what his terms and conditions are. Find out what his quote-unquote fee is. Find out what things that he feels that are off the table and what things he doesn't want you to say or do. You know DSP is going to have all those things. The next step to that, ladies and gentlemen, is have multiple people do it. Have multiple people do it and see if he gives the exact same price and or terms and conditions to all of them, or does he switch certain shit up for certain people? Because DSP is a prejudiced person, so obviously he's not going to treat everybody the same. So, for example, if you got a detractor channel that has 2,000 subs and you have a detractor channel that has, let's say, 20 or 30,000 subs, I don't think the percentage is going to be the same. And because DSP has admitted, especially up to this point, that he has people out there gathering the data, you know, getting their analytics together, he's trying to figure out, probably using duty as his measuring stick, on what kind of views at least the top 10 detractor channels are getting and whatnot, and how much money he assumes that they're bringing in, if they're even monetized, and then go from there. That's literally what that is. And then he's probably also trying to weigh out who he can strike and get away with it, and who that he can't, and will he continue to pursue them if he tries to strike them down and they don't end up going down. You know, well, is he going to pull that bullshit or not? Or is he going to have another super crazy situation? You don't want that. So him pivoting, as I said earlier, from him wanting to flag everybody down to now him going into, I want you guys to sign a deal with terms and conditions, is kind of silly. But one thing I didn't mention, so I'll mention it now, is he really just wants a cut of the ad revenue. He wants a split revenue share, or if the channel isn't monetized at all, right? He'll just copyright claim it, not strike. Copyright claim, which means that he can put monetization on your video and collect that money, and it doesn't affect the video being shown. It just means they'll have ads on it. Split ad revenue, or revenue split, is you guys will just split the whatever money that video generates is split in half or in thirds or whatever that scenario is. So that he's pivoting to that now because, yet again, it's the best outcome he could get. But then, see, DSP is a fucking idiot too. So he's hitting them with this licensing thing where you have to pay him money to do all this, while on the back end, he's going to go to YouTube and he's still going to claim your video. I guarantee you that's what he's doing. So go ahead, because remember, he wants you to be scared. He wants you to be in fear. He wants you to be scared that your video is going to go down and then your channel is going to go down. Instead, get you to pay some money up front. So he's going to con you that way. And then behind the scenes, he's just going to put claims on your videos. If he can get the ad revenue share thing, he'll do that. Because then because he thinks, oh, well, you really can't say anything. You're still going to get your little bit of money, but I'm going to get a little bit on the back end too. Or if your channel is just unmonetized, then he can get a little licensing fee from you. So he can't strike your channel down or strike your video down, and he'll just pull all the revenue off of it because you're not getting any money off of it. So someone should. I guarantee you that's what he's trying to go for. I guarantee you his greed knows no bounds. And the ego boost for having, let's say, 2 or 3 channels on lock and key like that, he's not gonna say no to it. He's not gonna say no to that. Just like how he wanted to get that monetized, just like how he, after he left Machinima, he was hoping to get a managed partnership with Curse. He was hoping to get a managed partnership with Liveria or Fotabi. Why did he want those things? Amongst all of the quote unquote perks that it had, at least with Liveria and Fotabi, they said, hey, you know, you sign with us, we'll put you under a managed partnership. We'll send out claims on your behalf, so you can start getting some money off of these detractor videos. And DSP has had his snout up in the air for that ever since. And what was that? 2017? DSP has been searching for that ever since. Well, 2017, 2018. 2017, I'm pretty sure. And he's had his snout up in the air for that ever since. And he believes now he's closer to it than anything. Because now, oh, well, it doesn't matter if the detractors, trolls, haters, and critics say shit about me. Now I'm getting paid. So how much was it really hurting him and his family then? Did it ever really hurt at all? It hurt, yeah, it bruised his little ego. But now if he's getting his little $100 or whatever from whoever, now it don't hurt so much anymore. Now Cat don't really have a reason to be downstairs crying no more. Whatever. Maybe we can get Jasper a goddamn blood test. Semantics. All right, let's start over. Thank you for coming to my extended TED Talk.
Oh, interestingly enough, I think that it's a joke, but I had a few people contact me via DMs and emails yesterday asking me, so what is the deal with obtaining a license to restream me officially? Now, I think that these people are not serious, and here's why. I got like 5 or 6 of these messages. Not a single person said, here's my YouTube channel, here's my Twitch channel, I do restream you regularly and I don't want to get into trouble. Instead, they were just like, so what's the deal with the license? You know, very professional.
No, it's an inquiry. That's the professional term for it, Phil. And it makes sense to do that. It makes way more sense to do that. Instead of coming out there, why would anybody would want to come front face like that, so to speak? Why would someone want to put all their cards on the table like that? It's easier. Excuse me. It's easier to come out there and just question it. Hey, what is this, what's the outline of your terms and conditions? What are you looking for exactly? And go from there. But see, DSP, first off, this is all just a pipe dream. This is just something in his head. So he doesn't have no details worked out yet. Yet again, he's reactive, not proactive. So that's the first thing. Secondly, he wants to actually find out who you are. See, because if he can get a channel name, you know, whether you're YouTube or Twitch or whatever, then he can send a bunch of people over there. Then your ass goes on that list. Then if you don't come back later on, once he quote unquote implements everything, then he knows who to go after first. That's why. DSP needs your information front face so he can send that off to the rest of the Gouty Gestapo so he can get them on your ass. If you're coming in there just for an inquiry, if you're just going in there for a quote, you know what I'm saying, if you will, that doesn't help him. He needs your information up front, which is why he's a terrible doxer. That's why he had to get other people to do that shit for him. Too lazy to do anything.
So what I'm going to do, I might do this shortly, actually set up an official way that people who are interested can contact me and pay me a fee.
But see, yet again, he's depending on YouTube to do the heavy lifting. This right here, like I said, it's like a backup plan / another way for him to fuck over people who agree to his terms. That's really all it is. This right here, he's just putting that out there. It's almost like bait, if you will. It's like the early stages of pignosis, if you will. It's an hors d'oeuvre. It's just something to get you accustomed to what the situation is. Because he's going to use YouTube to fuck you over on the back end. That's what he really wants. This little fee up front nonsense, it don't mean shit. It's the money on the back end is what he's thinking about. Because DSP cares more about ad revenue as it pertains to from his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics than $100 or $50 up front or whatever. He'll take it. It'll go to the WWE champion polls. But if he can increase his YouTube paycheck at the end of each and every month, or between the 21st and the 25th of each and every month, that's what he's shooting for. That's what the real goal is. Keep your eyes on the prize, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes on the prize.
To obtain a legal license to restream me for daily content. Then that way in the future, if and when I do exercise my right to have legal litigation against those who steal my content illegally on a daily basis, those people who purchased the license would be immune because they've been given permission to use my content.
But I don't think they'll be immune in the eyes of YouTube. I don't know too much about that yet, so I'll look into it. But I don't think it's going to work like that. This is like an off-site like handshake. I don't know if it really has the validity he's trying to make it sound like. It sounds like just a convenient way of getting some money out of you so he can fuck you later. That's literally what it sounds like. And then he'll just go ahead and then, like any fucking sociopath, he'll just sit there and say, oh, well, you shouldn't have been taking my content anyway. You shouldn't have stolen my content anyway. It is what it is. So, you know, what happened to you is whatever happened to you. Well, I got this legal document, Phil. I got this, you know, these payments from you and shit. Or I have a record of recording payments that I've sent to you. Oh, well, that's my money. It was my content anyway. So it is what it is. Sorry. Womp womp. Still get your channel though, so you should be okay with that, you know? And I think that's really what's going to come down to. And the fact that he believes anybody would be dumb enough to fall for this is the part that's crazy.
So I need to work on that because
this idiot literally thinks he's conducting business. This idiot right here, I want you to think about this for a minute. We're going to go deep into our lore. This idiot couldn't even pick up his fucking phone when the realtor back in Connecticut was calling him to try to sell his condo. This is early on. He was too lazy to pick up his phone to talk to this realtor so this guy could help him sell his condo. But now he wants to do legal work for some online trolling channels? Make that make sense. And you could say, oh, well, he's just learned over time, you know, this, that, and the third, this, whatever. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars on a property that he owned, that he could have broken even on. I mean, yeah, he may have beaten it in the end with the bankruptcy or whatever, but he could have, you know, he could have broken even or even had, you know, tens of thousands of dollars in profit if he would have just gotten on the phone with that realtor instead of demanding emails. If he had gotten on the phone with that realtor and talked to him for like 10, 15 minutes. But I'm supposed to believe he wants to do business with Detractor channels. I mean, he's retarded, most certainly. And this right here makes it sound even worse. Something to think about. And that, let's be honest, he's only targeting, most people say he's targeting two people, meaning Duty and Raw Phil, but truth be told, I think he just wants Duty. I honestly think that's the only person that he really wants. Honestly. Because he has a surefire number he can go with. And remember how DSP says, he depends on certainty. Knowing for sure about something. The way DSP does anything is the way he does everything. Duty's the real target. It's not really anybody else. Yeah, if he can bump off, if he thinks he can bump off the other restreamers that catch him daily, maybe. But if he can't, he's not worried about it. But he's going for the surefire bet.
To be honest, I didn't think that anyone was going to care. But a bunch of people did contact me. But again, I don't think that they're real. I think that they're just like, you know, people messing around because no one said, hey, so by the way, I am so-and-so, who you probably know. I'm one of your detractors and I restream your content daily. But actually, I think it's fair that I would pay you a fee to do it because I make a lot of money doing it. So what's the deal with that? Like, no one actually reached out to me like that. Instead, it was just like, hey, so how do I do it? Like, what? No.
So imagine, and I want you to think about this too. This feeds back into his greed. He wants you to front face all of this information. And he's admitting right now that he literally doesn't have an outline for any of this. He doesn't even have an infrastructure. He doesn't even have a real idea of how he wants the terms and conditions set up, except for give me money and I'll give you some phantom contract. He literally has nothing, but he expects you to give him everything up front. Imagine that. And yet you're supposed to trust him? You shouldn't trust anybody like that, first off, especially someone online that you don't know. But he wants you to trust that? Okay.
To be honest, to officially grant any license, I would have to.
And then keep in mind, he's now feels emboldened to keep doing this off of some troll shit. Off of some troll shit, he's feeling emboldened. He told us, oh, I didn't think anybody was going to take it seriously. I didn't think anybody would reach out. But these people did reach out. So now I'm thinking about it. But they could be trolls, but I'm still going to go forward. I'm going to move forward with it now. Because even if they're trolling or not, he's going to use that as justification. You know how pathetic that is? You realize you're being trolled and you're falling right into that trap. and he don't care. Because at least someone reached out to him. You know how pathetic that is? You know what that is, actually? It's the mark of a weak person. That's why he latches himself on to anybody who shows him the smallest minute of kindness, or the smallest minute of acknowledging whatever talent, skill, or whatever the fuck he think he has. That's what that is. And when you're weak like that, you're an all-you-can-eat buffet for everybody and anybody and everybody that's around you. And that's the reason why his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics have been able to thrive the way he has. That's why the Argentinian peso thing blew up the way it is and still being used the way it's being used to this very day. He knows that he's at a deficit, but he'll take whatever little bit of attention that he can get, good, bad, or otherwise. And as I've told you, most of these daily therapy sessions are literally just for his detractors. The thing is, he had a problem with being ridiculed on smart guys unless there was a large influx of money. So he was willing to take the beating over there as long as the money was up to snuff. But once he realized that he wasn't going to get it, then he didn't want to do it no more. Now he's thinking, oh, well, because of Ethan Klein or H3H3, now I'm in a better position to pivot to get that money one way or another. And even then, I still don't think it's going to work. But we'll see.
To know that information, I'd have to know your name. I'd have to know your channel. I'd have to know all your legal information to be sure that all your bases are covered, you know?
But yet again, he does, and see, that's the head scratch. Because he knows he doesn't have anything, and he doesn't have anything to bring to the table. He really doesn't. Like, in his head, he thinks, oh, well, it's my content. That should carry the day. But it's not. If it's transformative, it's fair use. So we can go ahead and throw that in the trash. So what do you actually have as it pertains to terms and conditions? He doesn't have a damn thing. Because truth be told, he doesn't expect anybody to fall for it. And because he had to say this, now he realizes, holy fuck, I just said out loud, people are going to need to dox themselves. And I really don't have anything to offer them once they dox themselves. So what am I going to do now? Just a waste. Just a legitimate waste. And that's what happens when you're reactive. That's what happens when you're a reactive person. I mean, unless you think well on your feet, and Phil doesn't, so.
To be fair, here's what it would be. All right? It would probably be a monthly or an...
Now we're talking out of desperation. Because he has nothing else to pull from. Unless someone says something in the chat. That's not very good. There's a reason why he only did customer service. For the most part. Or he was tossing salads. Oh shit, that's so...
Annual fee. All right? Just like any other service. You pay a flat rate monthly, or maybe a discount if you do it annually.
The fuck is this? A mic? Well, I know what don't get me wrong, I'm being facetious. I know that he's talking about, like, basically he's trying to go with the subscription model. But now you're getting into some gotcha bullshit. And then annually, the fuck what are you asking for now? $1,000? So what is that? 5 Hogan pull? Or like 5 mega pack pulls or whatever the fuck it is? Talking to like TJ Gamebox about that shit. But like, what, like $1,000 for the year? Is that what's going to cover you? Is that what we're doing? Yikes. Here, I'll bring that whole thing back. Yikes. That sounds so ill thought out. Absolutely just out of his ass. He's got nothing on the ball. And yet people feel the need to defend him. I'll never understand it.
To be fair, here's what it would be. All right? It would probably be a monthly or an annual fee. All right? Just like any other service. You pay a flat rate monthly, or maybe a discount if you do it annually. All right? And all it is a fee that you pay, just like any other subscription service. And you will get official permission legally. There'll be like a contract written up that says you can now live restream.
He has no idea what kind of hole he's digging himself in. think about it this way. Now, keep in mind, I've already said that he has no real way of enforcing this unless he's going through a lawyer. I don't think YouTube even has to acknowledge it, so that doesn't mean anything. Semantics. What I'm really thinking about is, if that's the case, if this is a live service that you're subscribing to or whatever, you can literally say whatever the fuck you want to say about him for the most part, and he's got to eat it. Let me give you an example. When you think about like those people who critique shows, right? Or movies or whatever, and they decide to really rip into whatever the concept is, how the actors look, how the actors are, how they actually act, and all that bullshit. Some of that shit just gets downright malicious. And this is coming out of I'm an asshole, and even I think some of that's a bit excessive, but you know, it is what it is. He opens himself up to all of that, and he can never go back and say, they slandered me, they defamed me, they said really cruel, nasty things about, no, that's not how that works. Critique is critique. You opened yourself up to that because they're part of your subscription plan, and you decided to go with the subscription model. It's public domain. Well, it's not public domain, but like you've opened yourself up. You were financially compensated. They can rip at it any way they see fit. And this way, and on top of that, they can turn it into whatever they want. Now, fair use, you can do that already. But now, if someone officially wanted to go ahead and put out an album or some bullshit, and make even more money, he literally wouldn't be entitled to any of that because theoretically he wrote his rights away when he did so. He's putting himself in a really, really bad spot. But let's go even further than that. And let's be realistic with each other for a moment. He's treating this shit like he's on television. Like, you know, he's a movie star or some shit. And he's licensing his image or whatever. You're a fucking lame ass YouTuber, dude. That's all you are. You don't have those rights and privileges. You're not part of an agency that would even be able to help you enforce that. You barely have any copyrights of your own, let alone trademarks. It just doesn't work like that. Not at your level. Why do you think most of the larger content creators and or streamers are part of a network, or are part of, and or have agents and are part of, you know, different agencies and whatever to protect their rights and images and shit? Even then, they still misuse that shit, and that's why motherfuckers get sued behind the scenes. But that's semantics. We'll talk about that another time. But you don't have any of those rights. You and Brad Pitt are not on the same level. This is on some online shit. Like, you put this product out here because you don't have a choice. There's nothing to reinforce outside of what's going on that platform. And he probably breaks more rules than rights he breaks more rules than actual rights that he may or may not actually have. I don't know. Something to think about.
My content, and make your own content out of it. You have legal permission to do so. And that it would say, I would, via this contract, completely relinquish any legal rights to go after someone who purchases that agreement. Because think of it this way. Right now, there's probably, 20, 30 people who are doing this. Out of that, maybe 10 actually are making a living doing it, right?
Where do you even come? Well, first off, can any of you name 30 restreamers off the top of your head? I can't. And and I don't even care about who's making a living, who isn't, but I'm pretty confident no one's making a living doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Not on the level he think. Like I said, he's completely and utterly hyper-focused on duty. That's the only person that he's really thinking about. That's legitimately the only person he's thinking about. And because DSP is a piece of garbage, he'll just loop duty up with, or he'll loop everybody else up with duty, and just, oh yeah, all those guys right there that have similar views and whatever, they're making what duty's making. Even though I would say half of those guys, if not even less than that, are even monetized. So that's full of shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. Seems really short-sighted.
But if those people paid me a reasonable amount every month, I mean, if they're making thousands and thousands of dollars a month as they're claiming, okay, then they could probably shell over like, $100 a month. So
if they're making thousands upon thousands of dollars, you're willing to take $100. Now, this is important. Kinda. It's not important, but I like to think it is. I want you to think back, for those of you who know your lore, I want you guys to think back to what John Rambo was getting when he was driving 3 hours round trip up there to do playthroughs with Phil, and he was collecting his little $100, $150 every time he comes up there. while DSP was pulling thousands of, like tens of thousands of dollars a month. I want you to think about that. Because what reasonable person is going to be like, oh, well, if you're making, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month, I only want $100. So he's asking for less than 10%, which would usually be at minimum the rate. You're willing, so you're going to ask for less than what would be considered the going rate. None of this is established, so I'm just kind of talking on my ass here. But you're going to ask for less than 10%? That's what you want? Less than 10%. If they're making $3,000, let's say they make $5,000. They're making $5,000, and you just want $100. You don't want $500. You're willing to take $100. If that's not fucking retarded ass backwards, I don't know what is. That is fucking dumb as shit. So you're selling yourself cheap, super fucking cheap, and that's it. And that you don't want anything else besides that. You just want your little acknowledgement of their docs, your little $100 a month, and that's it. You don't want nothing else. You can't tell me he doesn't want anything else on the back end. Pause. You can't tell me he doesn't want nothing else on the back end. You can't tell me he don't.
So if there's 10, 20 people doing that, and they all pay me, and I'm making a couple thousand a month doing it, then why would I care? Go for it, right? And you're only making a living because of me. So there you go. But again, I haven't really worked it out yet because I'm in the early stages of everything. I announced yesterday that as of yesterday, I am officially have certain parties tracking all of the detractor content. They are now checking.
You know, by the way, and I need to point this out just for transparency's sake. There's actually agencies out there that will do this literally for him. Of course, he'd have to pay them. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a recent example. iSpeed. He had gotten himself into a bit of a controversy only in the last year or so for going around claiming videos and shit on because he went through some agency that was part of another agency that he's part of, I should say. And he was like, yeah, make this shit happen for me. And they were going around just claiming everybody's shit. It was similar to what Alinity tried to do to PewDiePie all those years ago, and you saw how that worked out for her. And then iSpeed allegedly pulled himself out of that bullshit because it was fucking with his image. The more people that can see him, the better and shit. You know what I'm saying? And he's already what? iSpeed is a top 10 like Twitch streamer or some shit like that. It is what it was. And he has to be at least in the top 1,000 for YouTube, at the very least. So, you know, he could just go through a network and do that, but he doesn't have the money for it. And more importantly than that, if they take out of what his cut is, if they really looked at the analytics, they're going to be like, you know what, this is probably not going to be worth this for you. You do realize that, right? It's probably not going to be worth it. Really not. But whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you want to chase after scraps, chase after scraps.
Who's live restreaming, who's actually doing stuff after the fact transformatively, because that stuff's fine. I've never had a problem with someone making a transformative work of me.
Well, that's a lie. Look at what happened to Super Crazy.
If it's defamatory, yeah, there's a problem there. But
what was it about Super Crazy shit that was defamatory? You yourself admitted that you did it to teach him a lesson. Throwing it out there.
Transformative versus actually live rebroadcasting without permission, without giving the creator a chance to have their content digested and make money first, that's illegal.
Well, that would be bullshit. Like, let's say what he said right there was true. It's not, but let's say it was. Well, who's to say he can't go after content creators for either edited content or quote-unquote transformative content later? If he says, oh, I need to eat first, and he wants to eat first on the live stream tip, why wouldn't he want to eat on the fucking, on the, what's it called? The, what's the term for that? On the on-demand stuff later. Why wouldn't he try to go after that? So, yet again, he's already kind of killing his own argument.
You have to give a chance for the original broadcast to go first before you can then try to rebroadcast.
I'm pretty confident if you put yourself on a delay, like WPig does that, or Alt does that. If you put yourself on a delay, I'm pretty sure that would, you know what I'm saying? That I'm pretty sure you might be able to get away with that. I can't say to the letter of the law because there really isn't one for this, but I would assume that would be reasonable.
It's not legal to do that. You understand? So
because he's basically trying to bottleneck and force people to watch him, and that's not going to work. There are people who are willing to wait. Out of 1,000 people, I want you to be realistic, and I really want to be realistic about this. Out of 1,000 people, he may be able to pull 100 people. What's that, 10%? He may be able to pull 10% of that 1,000 that will watch him. They won't give him any money, and more than likely, they're only there to clip him. They're not going to talk and chat because they're going to get banned like day one. So they're basically dead views, if you think about it. End story. So out of 1,000, at the minimum, he'll get 100. And like I said, they're not going to give him money. They're going to get banned literally day one, or at least within the first week at the very least. And they're only going to be there to clip him for their own content or to help one of their boys out later. That's worthless to him. That's literally worthless.
all of this is now being tracked day by day, hour by hour, and all this evidence will be used in the future. So there you have it.
My guess is this is all bluff, though. To be honest. Because truth be told, he should have already have all this information. All this quote unquote data should already be made available to him. But what he don't think about, and this is what I want to very much urge to people, is that the false flagging, like TOS, or the segment of the TOS that he talks about or focuses on, false flagging, or doing stuff in ill faith, if you will, or in bad faith, that stuff needs to barely be re-looked at and reevaluated. Because there's a lot of people who abuse the TOS, not just DSP. There's a lot of people who do it. And there should be some real consequences for that. If I go up and out my face because someone has something to say about me and I flag their video, there should be some real consequences behind that. Especially if it doesn't fall within TOS. And DSP is on record for calling people in DMs, naming channels by name and shit, and having people be like, go over there, give me a transcript of what they're doing, give me a timestamps of what they're saying so I can report that shit. Well, okay, are you going to watch any of it? Oh, I don't have time for that. You do it. And I'll just go off of what you say. I'll just throw it in my report. Is that good faith? And that didn't work. So, I mean, we're literally just grasping at straws. And what's he going to do? Cry to YouTube about this, that, and the third? If they go back and really look at, well, man, you got a history of all this bullshit right here. Can you explain that to us? What's he going to say? Something to think about.
Do I really want to do business with these guys? Listen, Toe Tickler Timmy, it's this simple. You can't change people's behavior, but the thing is...
That's ironic, if you think about it. Because doesn't DSP say he's changed over the years? He's gotten better. He realized the folly or the fault in his ways. But he's right here admitting that people won't change. People can't change. So how are you supposed to believe that he did it?
Instead of just saying, I'm staunchly against it, I don't want anyone to do it, they're going to do it anyway. So instead, make it so that at least if it's going to happen, that I benefit from it, right? I can't stop them from making the content, but I can actually tell them, hey, if you want to do it, you got to pay.
And here's the thing. If he's the one who dictates what's slanderous or defamatory or whatever, then your contract, then wouldn't theoretically the contract be like useless, essentially? Wouldn't that kind of be bullshit? Isn't that just another mechanism of control? If you think about it? On the front end, it's almost like he's trying to condition not the current establishment, but it's almost like he's trying to condition people who are gonna jump in that, hey, this is the law of the land, and you either fall in line with this or you're gonna be fucked. And then, like I said, I honestly think this is all smoke and mirrors. It's just empty snorts. The back end, either the copyright claims or the ad share or revenue split is what he's really going for. And I think he's trying to mask it with this whole bullshit here that he knows is not involved. That doesn't have any real precedence, or it's not really legit, I think. We'll see. Oh boy. Sometime today, Phil. Sometime today.
Exactly. Princess Luna just said there's nothing wrong with getting paid for something they're doing anyway. Exactly right. Only now they would have protection that I would never go and try to get them for doing it later on in a court of law.
But see, you can't trust them though. Like DSP's word doesn't mean jack shit. So none of that means anything. Because he could just easily make a blanket statement, and say, oh, well, they slandered me or defamed me in some way, shape, or form. Well, why'd you keep taking their money then, Mr. Burnell? Oh, well, I wanted to continue to gather evidence. You know what I'm saying? I had to keep the charade going and whatnot. It was my little secret, Your Honor. You know he's going to say something stupid like that. Obviously, his lawyer is going to be like, you're retarded. But he's still going to do it.
You know? And I think that's only fair. You're already making so much off of me. You literally, this week when I was gone, was 100% legal evidence that without me, they have no content. Because they had nothing. They had absolutely nothing to do. They were bored. And they had no income and no content coming in. So there you have it.
And then again, what is he basing this off of? Because like I said, we know for sure he's only hyper focusing on duty. So like, what exactly is your measurement of any of this? You know what I'm saying? Except for all that spurgery you saw on Twitter. Like, where are you really grasping all this from? You know what I mean? I don't know. Listen, it would be funny to see like a fucking duty and fucking Darksydephil in court. That shit would be kind of hilarious.
No, I did not say that. I did not say $100 per stream. That's not what I said. Like I said, I haven't figured anything out yet. That's something that I would have to work on my end. What I would have to do is probably have like a site created where someone could go and have a web form filled in.
I'm not hearing nothing about no lawyer. I'm not hearing nothing about an attorney. I'm not hearing about someone who's a professional with contracts. I'm hearing a bunch of lame ass bullshit. Oh, I'll do this on my end. I'll get a website. You mean like the King of Hate forums? I think that's just defunct at this point. So you're gonna get someone to make a site for you, and then you want people to put their information in. So they're gonna dox themselves. They're gonna dox themselves to him, and they're gonna dox themselves to whoever's on the back end of that site. And then what? For a fucking deal that doesn't mean jack shit, and will probably can't even be held up in court because he's just doing phantom documents. He can't, too lazy to even do legal Zoom or whatever the fuck. It's nothing more than a fucking digital handshake at this point.
And with their information, like their name, their YouTube channel, or their Twitch channel, information like how much do you stream, Phil, blah, blah, blah. And then basically they would pay this licensing fee either once a month or an annual discount, like a yearly discount to do it for like a year. And then it gives them a contract that says, you are now, here you go. Here's your contract.
And why would you want to sign an annual deal? Like, you don't know. People take 3 or 4 or 5 months off. I have. You know what I'm saying? People take months on and off not doing content. So for whether burnt out or because they have family issues or because of real life comes at you fast or whatever. So an annual deal would be stupid. I mean, the whole concept is stupid. Like paying DSP, trolling or not, just sounds stupid. But fucking this nonsense, it sounds ridiculous. There's no way anybody's dumb enough to fall for this. Oh, there's just no way. There's no way.
You have now have the right.
This is almost like some weird, I hesitate to call this, but it's almost like some weird ass fucking Gouty extortion. That's kind of what this shit feels like. It feels like extortion. Hey, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen to y'all. That's literally what extortion is. That's what it feels like. That's what it sounds like.
To do this for this amount of time, and no one can go after you for it.
And then he's just trying to hide it behind it being a subscription or some shit. What happens if he don't show up for him? Obviously, this wouldn't happen, but let's say hypothetically. No one ever thought he'd take 5 days off either, so there's that too. But who's to say if he takes a month off? What if he takes 3 months off? What if he takes 6 months off? Your money's lost at that point. He's not going to refund it back to you. This just sounds like extortion. That's exactly, that might have to be what goes into the title. Darksydephil tries extortion and whatnot. That's what this shit sounds like. Fucking criminal. Holy shit.
Yes, but here's the funny part. Forsen says, to sue one of these guys, you're looking at $50,000 or more, and it's not worth it. Here's the thing, though, Forsen. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, you're going to have to sue them individually, though. There's no way that you're just going to loop them all together. No lawyer who's worth their salt is willing to do that shit. You said 20 people that are possibly restreaming you. It's so much more in the lawyer's favor to just be like, oh, that's 20 individual cases, bruh. I'm gonna charge you over all that shit. This isn't fucking dime a dozen type shit. This isn't a package deal. We're not friends, bitch. This is business. I'm gonna get you for everything it's worth. If you want me to bundle it into you want to put it into bundles of 5, we could do that, I guess. But I'm gonna still charge you an inflated rate. They're not all. This isn't a cabal. These are all separate entities that you're trying to go after. Those are separate cases, dude. Hey, so what is this? Like, this is your version of a class action lawsuit and shit? Oh, man. Oh, man.
If it was one person doing it, I would agree with you. I'd be like, yeah, you're right. Going after one guy, small potatoes. There's a lot of these people doing it, making money. All of that money is mine. You understand that? It's literally all mine.
That's what's going to end up choking his ass in the end. That's what's going to end up choking his ass in the end. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. What have I told y'all? You give DSP enough rope and he'll hang himself. He'll do it gladly. He'll do it willingly if he believes that he could, just the possibility that he has an advantage or he could win. You know what I'm saying? Not that he can win, that he could win. That is enough for him. He'll hang himself. You know what I'm saying? What do they call that shit? An Italian necktie and shit, where you're literally hog-tied and shit. And the more you strangle the rope that's around your arms, I don't need to be saying all this, but whatever. It's behind. It's basically a torture method where it's wrapped around your. No, a Sicilian. No, is that a Sicilian necktie? Actually, I think a Sicilian necktie is when they slit your throat open or your esophagus and they pull your tongue out. We'll just call it a hog. We'll just call it, they're gonna hog tie his ass. We'll just say that. He's willing to almost hog tie his ass, and it's not even to his own benefit. Just in case you don't know what that is. You basically rope let's say a pig in this case. That's what it is, really. Your arms and your legs are roped together, and then and basically 3 knots. I've seen it done in 4 if you want to really be an asshole about it. And anyway, after they get your arms, after they get the pig's arms and legs and whatever, then they put the last noose around their neck, and they leave a little bit of slack. And as the pig struggles, the noose around the neck continues to tighten and tighten and tighten until basically the pig strangles itself. The mob is known for doing that too, though. Well, I mean, shit. Parts of Colombia and Mexico, they do this shit too. Anyway, it's just a convenient way to just basically choke yourself, to basically kill yourself, if you will. Same concept here. That's literally what he's got himself into, and he don't even see it. He don't. And it's really sad, to be honest with you, because his case, and then the case he's trying to piggyback off of, no pun intended. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. the case that he's trying to piggyback off of isn't even the same thing. You guys don't have the same precedents. You know what I'm saying? Terms and conditions don't really apply. But whatever.
Because it's all my content that's being stolen illegally. I have a legal right to all of that content.
If that's the case, then paywall all of your bullshit then and see what happens then. But he won't do that because then people won't watch altogether. If he really feels this, all of his content and any money that's made off it's his, paywall all of your shit. Put all of your bullshit behind a paywall and see what happens. But he won't do it. He's too scared of it.
I do. So if you add it all together, it's big money. It's big money and big prizes. Let me tell you. Because sometimes you can win a ruling. You can just do a settlement. I would assume if I were to ever take this seriously and take it to court, these people do not want to go all the way because I will own everything they've ever made. Every dollar they ever made restreaming my content, I will recoup. And then legal fees on top of that. They don't want that. So they're all going to...
This is just a bluff. This is literally just a bluff. Because he really thinks he has ground to stand on. If he loses, he's paying that lawyer. He's paying those court fees, and he damn sure paying the lawyer fees or whoever it is he tried to sue. But see, he don't want to tell you that, though. He don't want to tell you that. He's got to live in his delusion that he's the victim, and everybody else has been fucking him over since day one, and this is him trying to retaliate. And that's his problem. That's most people's problem, trying to retaliate. You know what I'm saying? You could be a bit more cunning about it. You could keep your motherfucking mouth shut, but you won't. You'll be resentful. You know what I'm saying? You'll be belligerent, and you'll basically tell on yourself, and then people will just maneuver around you. Monkey in the middle type shit, if you will.
Settle. They're all going to hit me with big, nice, big, juicy settlements just to get this to stop so they don't have to bleed in court for years after years. They don't have a foot to stand on.
What happens if a case does go years and years and years and you lose, Phil? You know how much money you're going to owe just in court fee? And court fees alone, you're screwed. Let alone what you owe your lawyer. And then if the winning party's smart, they're going to be like, yeah, you're going to cover our court fees too. So you're definitely doing that. And then I'm taking you to civil after that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to get mines. You know what I'm saying? Do you know how you could I feel like I could literally make you sell your house from up and under you? You know what I'm saying? Fuck, I can make you sell your parents' house too. I could literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, not just me, but anybody. They could, if they win, especially. Like, dude, they could literally just kill off, quote unquote, literally, not figuratively. They could literally just kill off the fucking, your branch of the Burnell household and shit. They could literally drive all of you guys into poverty. You realize that, right? Holy shit, man. Holy shit. Over some internet memes. Good God. And this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you're a loser your whole fucking life. You can't see the forest for the trees. This is just like, here, let me give you another example. This is just like when fucking Josh Moon felt sympathy for Wings of Redemption, and he started looking into what was going on with the troll community at that time. He did a video on it and shit. You still find it. It's a good listen. And he sat there and he was willing to stand up for, well, really, he just went into these Wings discords to get some information, to find out why they were doing what they were doing. And some of them just reacted poorly. Anywho, once that shit started to come out, Wings felt emboldened. And he was basically telling his mods, hey, anybody who's troll tipping me or whatever, make sure you ISO that person and give me the information. I'm going to send that to the farms. They're going to get doxxed. The fuck? Josh never said nothing about none of that. And if you know the rules of the farm, the Kiwi Farms is not your personal fucking army. They don't do anything for anybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's not how this works. If they feel that someone deserves it, then whatever happens, happens. But most of the time, they get talked out of that stuff anyway, because sometimes it's just not worth it. But they're nobody's personal fucking army. But Wings was literally boasting all that shit. Then that shit gets back to Josh. Josh realized he fucked up. And he was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to leave Wings to his thing. He didn't think that Wings deserves all of it, but he'll be damned if him or his site or the people on his site is going to be used because fucking some dumbass can't realize his place in the fucking world. Someone showed him a tiny bit of kindness, and he immediately tried to weaponize that shit. That's what a lol cow is. A lol cow will never change. So for all those people who are in bed with lol cows or cool with them, this, that, and the third, if you haven't been fucked over already, it's coming. It's coming. We'll see how much it was worth it to you then.
No, I don't think that YouTube will demonetize any detractors on July 15th. All YouTube ever does is they have rules, and then they very, very selectively enforce the rules. If there's a big stink about something, sometimes they'll enforce the rules. Other times they'll completely ignore rules. It's really stupid. All right? So what it is, they already have a policy. And that policy says you cannot upload what they consider to be spam content, regurgitated content, non-original content. What does that mean? Literally copying someone else's content and re-uploading it to your channel, live restreaming someone else. It's already not allowed on YouTube. The thing is, YouTube doesn't enforce it.
It's too vague. They have to be far more specific about what that entails. He himself is being way too vague about what that is. And so it just shows his lack of understanding. Like I said, it's kind of one of the reasons why this isn't going to pan out for him the way he thinks it will. Well, we'll see.
People have been reported a million.
And then he keeps talking about breaking the law when there's no law established. You know what I'm saying? What mainstream media what they have going and what this online YouTube thing or this online space thing have are two separate things. And you can't apply one to the other. Because if that was the case, then his abuse of YouTube's TOS should be applied to him first. And he'd be equally as fucked. And there is no justification for that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, I tried to report it and they still didn't do anything. Well, then I guess they didn't violate anything. But you yourself, by spam reporting, by calling for people through pig whistling to go out and do shit and whatever, that's basically, what do you call that? That's, I want to say it's called encouraged harassment, but it's literally like, it's fucking harassment. But there's another term I'm looking for. I want to say maybe organized harassment. And DSP has a history of doing that. He has a history of doing that shit. All the way back to that dude who called him out on PSN over how he was acting over the Panda Lee situation when he blew up at the chat. And that was over, what was that, Kingdom Hearts, I think he was playing or some shit? Whatever. So DSP has an active history. You know, he has a track record of doing stuff like this. He doesn't really realize how fucked he could be if someone was really willing to put the time in to actually pursue that.
Times YouTube doesn't enforce any of it.
And that, and the way he treats people, the way he talks to people, that right there is a blatant break of TOS, which is the very thing that got his ass taken off of Twitch. But he'll never admit it. He'll never admit it. That his language that he was using towards people is what got his ass fucking demonetized. And he'll never admit that shit. But he knows it's true.
So now what YouTube is saying is apparently they're going to enforce it. Does that mean anything's going to change? I very much doubt it. Very, very much doubt it. Cydia says no one will pay you a license because the audience of the detractors would ridicule them into oblivion. Why would they know? I'm not an asshole. I wouldn't have a public listing of those who bought the licenses.
He's full of shit. The fact that he's smirking about it, which is what Wings does too, proves that shit. You bet his ass. You bet your ass that he'll do that shit. You bet your ass. That, look at the smug ass look he has on his face right now. That proves it. You know, the first chance he could to fucking do that shit. Let's say in a hypothetical world, right? Let's say like Tevin, Snort Brunel, Snort Hogan, you know what I'm saying, Memology 101. If they actually signed that deal and shit, you know, DSP would be chomping at the motherfucking bit to look for a reason to out them. Just so he could discredit them. Just to discredit them. Even if they broke the deal off at that point, it won't matter. Oh, for a month, these assholes paid me. Look at you. Look at the guys that you guys look up to in the community. They paid me. They got on their knees and paid me. How does that make you guys feel? You know he'll do it. You know he'd do it.
That would be a legal contract between me and the streamer. That's it. It wouldn't be known publicly. The audience of the detractors would ridicule them into oblivion. Why? Very, very much doubt it. Cydia says no one will pay you a license because the audience of the detractors would ridicule them into oblivion. Why would they know? I'm not an asshole. I wouldn't have a public listing of those who bought the licenses. That would be a legal contract between me and the streamer. That's it. It wouldn't be known publicly.
Was that guy in that Discord that he ended up doxing? That wasn't Papa Vera, was it? Because DJ Runo was the guy. DJ Runo got fucking publicly slammed over the Untitled Goose Game shit, the $20 joint. So yeah, so was it? I want to say that was Papa Vera, wasn't it? Who got doxed on got doxed in that fucking Discord group or whatever. So if he's one to dox his own pay pigs, I want to say that's Papa Vera, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But matter of fact, I might here actually no. I'm gonna take a minute and look. But if he's willing to dox that guy, you know, if you're willing to dox someone who gave you money, and he wouldn't even be the first person, then DSP will dox anybody. If you really think about it. Hold on a second.
You're trying to friend me. Oftentimes when it comes to DSP, he will lie about a lot of shit. And this is why people don't believe half the shit he has to say. Now, here's what I think landed DSP in trouble. doxing his own fans by a naughty mouse. While Phil has never expressed remorse for the constant doxing of his mods and fans, even insulting them, he has maintained the veil of innocence that he was never directly involved in sharing or disclosing his viewers' personal identifiable information. Here's a message Phil delivered in the mod Discord showing us the driver's license for banned user P-Dubs, who had implied toward him that providing this would give him an unban. So basically, Phil said, P-Dubs, you can come back if you give me your driver's license information. Absolutely wild. Schwaggins, Zoom calls would honestly be fun, lol. Eternal Name Palm. I've banned P-Dubs multiple times, lol. Darksydephil, P-Dubs just sent me this. P-Dubs doxed information. Phil did not censor. That's in bold print to let you know. Full name, date of birth, partial address, height, sex, eye color, issue date, marital status, endorsements, license class, partial signature. Oh yeah. Dude, wow. Hey Phil, don't know how to prove to you I'm from blank. Mean I attach my ID if that's what you wanted. If I told people I wasn't from blank, it probably was to protect my identity. But yeah, I attached my ID. I wouldn't lie about something like that. And I understand your decision, Phil. I blocked off certain parts of my ID as well, but attached it to show you I'm not lying. And I saw that someone made an account named P-Dubs or something. And honest to God, it wasn't me. Phil. Why would he show this in the fucking Discord? So there you go. That's my opinion. Like, if there was a reason for Twitch to nail you, because they're saying they're going to see what you're doing off the platform too. And this was pretty big news when it hit. Now, there's much more to this whole thing. There's this whole saga here. DSP talking about a rogue mod leaking info to detractors. This is damning enough. Like, showing someone's license. I don't even know. Like, Phil could have wrote, P-Dub showed me his license. That's not him. That's all DSP could have did, like a normal human being. Not Phil. It's like, okay, everybody taking this information. We may have to take him down at some point. Holy shit. At the same time, I'm being told that Anon has leaked things from this Discord to public parties and has loose lips and cannot be trusted. I was literally just told he created a Cowie Forums account and is teasing dropping truth bombs or something to that effect. Jesus Christ. It's like the CIA holes. Like, DSP is the Red Skull of his Twitch stream. After all this information dropped, DSP said he censored those photos. I've seen DSP live for years. So I'm far more inclined to believe Anonymous than DSP any day of the week. Now in part 2 of the DSP is kicked from Twitch video.
Got it. It wasn't Mr. Papavera. It was PW Dubs. My fault. Biggest it's a Gundam. It was a PW Dubs who he ended up fucking doxing and shit. I may actually try to get that clip into this video if I can. If not, I'll send it to someone else and have them do it. But yeah, PW Dubs ended up catching that stray in the fucking Discord. So let's not act like, you know what I'm saying, PW Dubs has been around for a long time, gave a lot of money. So if he can get clipped, and like I say, he's not even the only person to be doxed, but if he can get clipped, anybody can get clipped. Anybody can get clipped. So if he's willing to do that to someone who gave him money, what would he do to someone else who he feels has organized harassment against him and laughed and ridiculed him for years on it? Think about it. Oh boy. Scummy, scummy, scummy.
All right. Well, I've had enough talking about that anyway. This is stuff that's behind the scenes stuff. It's, you guys like the drama. I don't. All right. I much more rather just chill and talk about anything else but this nonsense. Seriously. So what would you guys like to talk about today outside of this baloney?
So, i.e., I didn't get the response that I wanted and whatnot. I didn't get a bunch of people giving me ass pats in the fucking chat. So we can move on positively from this. Gotcha. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Like that's a special type of lame. To be honest with you, like I said, I'm dead set now on it's extortion. He's trying to extort them on the front end, and I guarantee you, he's hoping that YouTube will come through so he can copyright claim them on the back end or a revenue split. I'm almost certain that's what it is. And here's the thing, truth be told, he's hyper fixated on duty. We all know this. But the reality is, if he can get those detractors who aren't monetized, then he can just basically grab our copyright claim, not strike. He could copyright claim their videos and then pull all that ad revenue right into his own coffers. So that kind of works out. That would work for him more than anything. But like I said, there are options. There's ways to navigate past all that stuff. Just depending on how far you're willing to go. You know what I'm saying? YouTube is certainly about ease and convenience. No one's gonna hold that against you, and nor should anybody should. So, you know, it's whatever your comfort level is, I suppose. Okay, so so use that. Why not? Let's do that. So yeah, so there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Closing thoughts. Holy shit. Oh man, I'm telling you. Here's the thing. Let's keep this a buck. I'm not a duty fan. I do not fuck with that guy. I don't fuck with liars, especially people who lie on people for no goddamn reason. I don't fuck with them at all. But when this whole nonsense is all said and done with DSP, duty's eating this. Duty's eating this. He's eating all of this as it pertains to him feeling the need to show his money that led to this nonsense. Duty's eating all of that. Now, whether you consider this all part of the content and it pushes it along, or you think, man, that was a stupid ass move, that's up to you. It doesn't really even matter at the end of the day. But Duty's eating that. Holy shit. He got literally DSP coming out in fucking hives, sweating grease at the potential. And like I said, I think Duty's really just the primary target, at least for that front end money, and then whatever can be taken in the ad revenue split. You know what I mean? So, but I think if he can get it past, I'd say like a handful of detractors, nobody in particular by name. But if he can somehow make this happen with a handful of detractors, he'll try to go for the gusto. He'll try to hit everybody. And if he, you know what I'm saying? If he goes after 20 people, he can only pull 6 of them, he'll live with it. He'll live with it. But striking them down, I think is just, that's literally his last result. You know what I'm saying? That's what they call that, mutual assured destruction. You know what I'm saying? So MAD, I think is what it is. That's the last resort. That's the little red button and shit. That's the last resort, to be honest with you. If he can't bleed them, he can't bleed people, if he can't just take all their ad revenue all out at once, if he can't get some of their doxes, then he'll just try to nuke them out of off of YouTube or even Twitch. It sounds like he's willing to go for that too. So we'll see. But that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is at least my take on it. That's what I think his master plan is, if you want to call it that. It's like I said, it's very it's not very well thought out for obvious reasons. And in the end, he's expecting YouTube to do the heavy lifting. He needs YouTube actually to do the heavy lifting. Because in all of this, you're not hearing nothing about no lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he wants you to do a verbal contract, or he wants you to do a digital contract basically with him. And then he wants it done on his site where he has control, where there's going to be at least 2 people, if not 3 on the back end, besides himself, that are going to have have control of your docs or have your information, this, that, and the third. And don't be surprised if one of those assholes decided to throw it into the chat every once in a while, maybe not in completely, but just enough to get people's attention. So please believe there's nothing good out of fucking going into business with a lol cow, let alone DSP. But damn sure there's nothing good that goes in the bed that, you know, there's nothing good that comes out of getting in bed with a lol cow. I don't know when that became a thing around these parts, but it's never been a thing. It shouldn't have been anyway. So whatever. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next video, whenever that may be. hopefully sooner than later. This has been the Snort Report. This has been DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh, yes! A GTG Network and Productions. For Tips Thorntons, Art Snorts Gin and Tonic, and obviously SnortBucks Coffee Company. I've been your host / anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Boy, oh boy, don't sign no contracts. Don't get in bed with these locals. Don't do it. Holy Christ, don't do it. Oh, man. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.